Imagine the year 221 BCE, when the Warring States period had finally bled itself dry after centuries of fratricide, and a ruthless 38-year-old warlord named Ying Zhang, having swallowed six rival kingdoms like a python, devouring mice, proclaimed himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a newly forged China stretching from the East China Sea to the Tibetan Plateau. Standing atop the wind-lashed ruins of the Zhao capital at Handan, he gazed north where the Xiongnu, fierce mounted archers who lived in felt yurts, drank fermented mare's milk and raided like locusts, continued to pour through gaps in the old defensive lines, and in a voice that carried the authority of a man who had already buried 400,000 surrendered soldiers alive. He commanded that every fragmentary wall built by the former states be linked, extended, and hardened into one continuous barrier that would become the spine of his empire. Thus, the greatest forced labor project in antiquity began, as heralds rode to every village with bronze tallies, ordering one adult male from every three households to report for corvée, while convicts branded with ink on their faces, disgraced Confucian scholars forced to carry hod, and even orphaned teenage girls were marched in shackled columns toward the frontier, their sandals wearing through on the 500-mile trek, arriving at camps where overseers with rhino hide whips tallied bodies like bricks. The first phase under the Qin used the ancient rammed earth technique called hangtu. Workers dug clay from the yellow loess soil, mixed it with lime, chopped straw, and even human hair for tensile strength, then pounded it between reusable wooden boards layer by layer with heavy tamping poles until the wall rose 25 feet high and 20 feet thick at the base, tapering to a crest wide enough for two chariots to pass, while every 200 meters a rectangular watchtower of the same compacted earth jutted upward another 30 feet, its top platform ringed with crenellations and fitted with a bronze bell that could clang across valleys. Drainage weep holes were punched at intervals to prevent frost heave, and along the interface a parallel service road was graded. So supply wagons laden with millet, salted fish, and iron arrowheads could rumble uninterrupted. Beacon towers crowned the highest ridges, square stone bases supporting timber superstructures where soldiers kept bundles of wolf-dung ready to burn, for its black smoke rose higher than pine and could be seen 50 li away, triggering a relay that within hours could summon garrisons from as far as the Ordos Loop. When the first emperor died in 210 BCE, his terracotta army was still cooling in kilns, but 700,000 workers had already died on the wall. Their corpses rolled into the core as filler, a practice so common that Ming-era farmers plowing nearby fields still turned up Qin skeletons wearing iron shackles. The Han Dynasty, 206 BCE to 220 CE, inherited the project and pushed it westward through the Hexi corridor, planting mile-long rows of tamarisk and poplar to anchor the Gobi dunes that tried to swallow the wall whole, while engineers invented the hanging coffin suspension technique to string the barrier along cliff faces too steep for pack animals. The Sui, 581 to 618 CE, repaired Qin breaches with slave labor, but it was the Ming, 1368 to 1644 CE, terrified after nearly losing the realm to Mongol resurgence, who performed the final apotheosis, demolishing the soft earthen core in key sectors and recladding it with bricks fired in dragon kilns that glowed like volcanoes along the Yellow River, each brick 18 inches long, stamped with the kiln master's name, the brigade number, and the date in cyclical characters, then laid in lime mortar so tenacious that modern chemists struggle to replicate it. The Ming Wall climbed impossible gradients, 45-degree slopes where soldiers inlaid stone steps and iron crampons, its parapet studded with embrasures angled to rain crossbow bolts on attackers below, while three-story gatehouses at mountain passes like Zhuyongguan were fitted with massive iron-bound cedar doors, portcullises, and cauldrons for boiling oil. Inside the wall ran a hidden courier corridor, where pony express riders changed mounts every 10 li, carrying bamboo message tubes sealed with wax. Garrisons lived in stone barracks heated by kong beds, growing garlic and scallions in south-facing terraces, their children learning to read by scratching characters on broken roof tiles. The wall's signal system evolved to include colored flags by day and lanterns by night. And in 1449 at the Battle of Tumu, when the Oshrit Mongols captured the Zhengtong Emperor, the wall's beacons flared for 1,200 miles in a single afternoon, summoning 500,000 troops who arrived too late to save the emperor, but in time to prevent Beijing's fall. Yet for all its might, the wall was never impregnable. Genghis Khan bypassed it in 1211 by bribing frontier guards, and in 1644 the Manchu general Wu Sangui, enraged by rebel Li Zicheng's seizure of Beijing, simply opened the Shanhai Pass gatehouse and invited the Qing cavalry through, proving that stone yields to silver. Abandoned after 1644, the wall crumbled into romantic ruin. Ming bricks pried out by peasants for pigsties, watchtowers colonized by swallows, wild roses threading through arrow slits. Until the 20th century, when warlords mined it for barracks, Japanese troops used it for target practice, and Mao's Red Guards smashed inscriptions as feudal relics. Today, the restored tourist sections at Badaling gleam with souvenir hawkers and selfie drones. But venture into the wild wall near Jinshanling at dawn, and you can still trace the fingerprints of a Ming mason in the mortar. Hear the ghost of a Qin conscript's hammer, and stand where a Xiongnu arrow once whistled past, touching a monument that began as a desperate gamble to hold chaos at bay and ended as the only man-made structure visible from low Earth orbit. A 5,500-mile scar of human will, etched across deserts, grasslands, and cloud-wreathed peaks, whispering that empires are built not just of stone, but of the countless unseen lives compressed into every inch of its unyielding height.